Oh,
Ready?
right.
Go.
Welcome to episode 6.
We're started. Right. Welcome to welcome to episode 6 of the Existential Files with Louie Savva and Matthew Smith.
Very good.
Last time, Louie, you reminded me that we talked about, or we questioned this idea. You asked the rhetorical question: did brains evolve to think? And you made the argument that no, they didn't. It happens to be something that they do. But I think your argument, if I remember and interpret it correctly, is that that wasn't the so-called purpose. They weren't, let's use the word, designed, in inverted commas, in order to do that. That's just happens to be a property that has emerged out of a whole range of processes that we label as evolution.
Sure.
So where does that take us? How do you want to continue that thought? Or
I mean, I think that for me, as I've said previously, that I think that kind of however we might conceive of human being, the brain is an important part of that question, or the answer to what human being is, and that if the brain is something that began from humble beginnings as a simple cell in a simple organism, that over millions and billions of years has evolved not to be human beings, because human beings are just one creature in many millions and millions of creatures that have existed, then for me, I think that tells me that our existence is happenstance. And what we do with our brain is not massively important, except to us,
the individual.
Because
also, you did say when you've moved into talking about human beings.
Yeah.
For the first 2 times you said it, you said human being.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
tell me more about that. Human being as opposed to human beings.
Well, I mean, again, and I think we'll talk about this, because I think I'm trying to communicate what I conceive of a human being.
Yeah.
Isn't a brain. Although being a human is dependent upon a brain,
Yeah.
Being a human being is dependent upon oxygen, but we're not oxygen. Being a human being is dependent on water, but we're not water, although we've got water inside us. And, I mean, my partner, for example, is a psychiatrist. Now, I know that for her, how she conceives the medical model of the mind is very important to her. Now, I don't agree with a lot of the medical model of the mind. And so when I talk about human being, I'm kind of talking about what I conceive of as a human being.
Yes.
As opposed to sort of the genetic human being, which is the ape. The ape is the biological human being.
Yeah.
The 99% chimpanzee, who is not a human being.
Yeah. So, can I ask?
Yeah, of course.
A really profound question that's now gone up my mind. It was so good. My brain didn't have the capacity to keep hold of it.
Right.
You're referring to, or would I be correct in saying or questioning that you're referring to human being being the experience of being human?
I would say a human being is the experience of being human. Yes, reporting that you are a human being. Okay.
And as an existential question or set of questions, we're exploring that experience, that, to use a term, and I may be using it incorrectly, so please tell me if I am, the phenomenology of being human.
Certainly, we find ourselves, we find ourselves in the universe. Heidegger called it thrownness. We find ourselves in the universe. And other creatures don't report this. I mean, my cat doesn't report this. My cat doesn't say, "Oi, what's it all about?" This is uniquely human experience.
Although he might be saying it in cat language.
No, he's not saying it in cat language.
How do you know that? Okay, sorry, I was digressing, but you don't know that for sure. You presume he's not going.
Well, I mean, I think that
was me doing a cat impression, by the way.
As much as you might disagree with some of the things I say or whatever, I see no evidence for any humanity in the animal kingdom?
By humanity, the experience of being, the phenomenology of an experience of being that.
Of being a human, yeah. So if we
Well, no,
put it
not
another
being
way,
human, because being a cat, being a dog, being whatever that species happens to be, because they're not going to have the experience being a human because they're a cat.
Of being an existential being. How about that?
Okay. As in having an experience that includes the phenomenology of the experience. I think we're getting up our own asses here. But anyway.
You're putting it in that way. I mean, let me take it back to Darwin, for example. One of my favorite quotes from Darwin, and I'm paraphrasing this, is, "Who knows what cows feel?" You know, who knows what a cow feels when it's, you know, sees a dead cow next to it, you know. And I think, you know, when Darwin's talking about this, he's kind of saying, you know, they're not feeling the same thing that we're feeling. You know, and something that I encounter quite a lot with people that I know is anthropomorphism. It's putting human experience onto animals. Animals are not little human beings.
Yes, correct. Well done.
So I don't think that other biological creatures have existential experience. I also don't think that.
I'm going to use
if I could just,
let's go talk over.
Go on then. Go on.
Oh my God, I can't believe they're talking over each other. How unprofessional is that? However, so cats aren't little human beings. Mm-hmm. And I think I know what your answer's going to be, but I'm interested in how you frame it and how you phrase it. Are cats cat beings?
Well, I was going to say, if I could just finish.
Very political. That's a good question. A question I'm fully prepared to answer.
Well, I'm going to answer it.
This.
Well, I'm going to answer it in my way. I believe that there are human beings that do not have existential being or an existential experience. For example, we were previously talking about children, and certainly my opinion of children is that until the age of about 2 to 3, they are animals, not human beings. So I mean, I definitely think that there are certain human beings who don't have existential experience. So, you know, is a cat? I'm not denigrating biology. Cats are very good at being predators. They are very good biological creatures. They are an expression of, you know, phenotype in the world. You know, they are honed predators. But what they are not is an existential being. And I'm not denigrating them because of that. I mean, you know, for example, dinosaurs existed for a lot longer than we've existed. They didn't have civilization. They didn't have the welfare state. They didn't have democracy. You know, they had scales and big teeth and could, you know, bite our heads off. I'm not a humanist. I'm not saying you go humans, we're the best. I'm saying that we have a slightly different experience. And ours is one which incorporates the existential, or can incorporate existential experience.
Which again, just to be clear on what we mean, or what you're referring to as the existential experience, we could talk about that as being awareness, consciousness, self-awareness, the ability, capacity to reflect and consider one's own experience.
Well, should we call it? I mean, let's say like one, recognize their own mortality. Should we say that?
Okay.
And I don't think
we can say that.
Show me a creature that recognizes its own mortality. Show me the pig that, as it goes towards the bolt gun, says, "Oi, please don't kill me." They don't.
May they not have some awareness that something's about to happen? You're saying no, that's not. They're just carrying on, and then something happens, which means they happen to be dead. But there was no sense that was arriving. There was no point in which they thought, whatever.
No.
Again, I'll fumble for words. They had an experience which they considered that.
No.
And I want to contrast that with some people, and where you go with this one. Some people claim that when you cut I'm thinking of a plant, a flower, you go and prune a flower, the flower screams. What does that? I mean, I'm not saying that. Oh, explain that one, Louie. I'm just saying. Well, first of all, am I right in thinking there is stuff out there where people make that claim? What do they mean by that? I'm assuming it's not a scream, as though but some would interpret that as saying there is some sense of an expression of something, of loss. I don't know what it might be.
I mean, you know, a nervous system transmits pain, okay, or can transmit pain. You know, animals feel pain. If I get my cat and I hit him with a broom, he's going to feel pain, right? That's not the same as him having awareness of his own existence, his own mortality, and fearing his own death. Experiencing pain, having a nervous system, being able to say ow when somebody hurts you. If I get a knife and stab a tree and it says ow, I still am not ascribing that any kind of existential awareness.
Okay, so I can pick up one thing you said there, and I think fear of death was in there. So
Yeah.
you would feel that part of the existential position, whatever it is, human existence, the human condition, is being aware of one's own mortality, and that leading to a fear of death. Is fear of death part of the existential condition?
Yeah, I would say that as existentialism as a movement, part of what it's interested in is mortality, personal annihilation is part of that question. Yeah. Generally,
being fearful. No, hold on a minute. And being fearful of it.
And being
leading to an emotional experience of fear this experience of being alive, being human, is existing now.
Yeah.
Or the apparent experience of it. There'll be a day at which that won't happen, because all the signs around me of humans and other animals do not live forever. So there'll be a point at which this experience stops. Ergo, I am fearful of that. It will stop. Sure. That's the existential question. So the notion of fear of death.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it's one of or part of the existential questions. I mean, it's part of it. I mean, for example, if one day in the future, the sun is going to use up all its energy. The fuel that fuels the sun is going to be exhausted, and at that point, a part of the sun dying is that it will get larger and it will consume the Earth. Now that means that if we have not moved out of the solar system, if we have not moved, the solar system is an enormous place. I mean, moving out of the solar system is something that's seemingly almost impossible to do. But if we do not move from this planet, then every single thing that about Earth will be gone, apart from a few radio signals that we've sent out into the universe in the last 100 years or whatever. Now, some people will find that the idea that any memory of them is destroyed. Forget building a statue about you. You won't. It will be as though you have not existed. Now, some people find that painful.
Would you count yourself as one of those people that finds that thought painful?
Sure, I will say that I have done in the past.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not anymore then. That implies not anymore.
Well, see, I think that for me, I find the universe absurd. I think in the very first episode, I talked about the universe being absurd. So for me, in an absurd universe, existence and the universe is absurd. It's like a joke that I don't find funny anymore. And so for me, I think personal annihilation in an absurd universe, it's almost as if it's absurd. Existence, at its very core, is absurd.
Here's Bob with the weather.
Yeah.
Let's have a word from our sponsor, shall we?
Yeah.
Who would sponsor a show like this? I think it has to be something Daz Powder.
Well, I think we were saying to your children, pooage, the porridge that tastes like poo.
Pooage. Buy this pooage now. Well, it's roughage, isn't it? It helps. It helps digesting. Helps your system. It's all goodness. It's all good.
Stops you getting constipated.
So maybe then it's still exploring. So back to the idea, which will obviously be a theme throughout this, in terms of, well, it's all pointless. Hence your blog. Everythingispointless.com, folks. If you want to go and read more of this fun, heartwarming, enlightening ideas, then part of it may be exploring still. And again, this may be sort of pausing here and thinking where we go next. The next episode is, given that the universe is absurd, to use that terminology, then we're faced with all those existential questions of, well, what's the point? There is no point, a fundamental underlying point. There's no real kind of point to be discovered. You're faced with this, what do I do each day? There's nothing worth doing as such, because in the end, it all comes to nothing. That's what we mean by the absurdity. Is that right?
Well, Well, I mean, again, I mean, I think that that's a conclusion. That, I mean, from my perspective, the universe since the very Big Bang, and we put 13 billion years, 14 billion years ago, the universe was pointless at that moment. The universe was pointless 1,000,000 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 10 minutes ago, and into the future, to the infinity in the future. And so, I mean, from my perspective, whether or not the universe is pointless, whether that ruins life, you know, whether that means that you can't enjoy, whether there are things that you can do with your life, I'm not entirely sure that it has to ruin everything.
Well, exactly. And surely we got to your first blog post, Happiness in the Belly of the Space Whale. I felt that was the message, saying, right, there's no point to any of this. So do what you want to do, basically. Fill the time in any way you want to do it. And a so-called rational approach would be fill it with stuff that you enjoy doing, that brings some sense of, let's use the word pleasure.
Yeah.
Because that's probably making something slightly less pointless than it being completely utterly pointless. You used to always say, banging your head. There's some things more pointless than other things. Banging your head against a brick wall is more pointless than giving somebody a hug, for example.
I mean, I will to some degree, you know, say that that's still my position. I do think that, you know, that some of these things can act as a, you know, I think Daniel Dennett calls it a universal acid. And I think what happens is that if you're looking for solid ground to stand on, when we're pouring this universal acid on everything, I mean, don't be surprised if you don't find anything solid to stand on. And if what you're looking for is something solid to stand on, I think you may be disappointed in that. However, you know, I can say that, you know, I feel that I've dissolved everything and I still am a person. I still walk around. I still love my cat. I still talk to you. I still have fun. But, you know, if what you're looking for is a solid ground to land on, I will say I'm not entirely sure you're going to find it.
Fine. And we're okay with that. I'm okay with that. Because
well, as long as you're okay with that, you know.
I'm okay with that. We're all okay with that.
That's good.
You know, use the comments box below, folks, if you're okay with that, and if you want to keep joining with us. Let's pause on that one. Would you mind if we just pause on that one for now?
Yeah,
we'll build on this next time. And we'll let you decide how you want to take it forward. So, folks, for now, let's say bye-bye.
Bye.